Good evening and welcome to the More Yoga Cafe. My name is Yvonne O'Garro and I'm one of the restorative and hatha yoga teachers with More Yoga. So this is Yoga Journeys, and Yoga Journeys is a way to amplify the voices of melanated yoga teachers. Started on the back of the lockdown, and then with the Black Lives Matter protests, we found More Yoga wanted a platform to amplify teachers of color. So I asked them the same 10 questions, and what is beautiful is all the answers are understandably beautifully different. So I have the really, really great pleasure of this evening introducing a very dear friend of mine, Miss Tawny Cortes.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad to be here and feel really honoured to be invited.
The honour is mine, Tawny. The honour is all mine. Honestly, it's lovely doing these, right? But it's like really, really nice to see my friend.
Yes, likewise.
Yes. Yeah. So how are you doing?
Good. Yes, the weekend has been really nice to just have, 4 days to chill, take it easy, and the weather's been, pretty okay. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's been nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody's watching on catch up, which many people do, this is Bank Holiday Monday, Easter Bank Holiday Monday. This recording, we're still keeping to our regular routine. So before we jump into the regular Yoga Journeys questions, I added a new one in, which is the lift intro. So if you were in a lift with someone for like 30 seconds and they said, introduce yourself, who are you? How would you introduce yourself?
So I'm Tawny. I'm a personal trainer, a yoga and mindfulness teacher. I work both in studios, gyms, in corporate environments, and really use all of my skill set to empower and educate people on, living well, both physically, mentally, emotionally, the whole gambit. So yeah, that's me.
Wonderful, the whole kit and caboodle. Living healthily. I mean, that is it right now, isn't it? After the last year we've had, that's
Absolutely.
what we need. Yeah.
Wow. I think it's just highlighted how precious life is, really.
Absolutely.
And what it means to be healthy.
Yeah, and I really hope people have more of an appreciation of that now. So yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for being here and all the work that you do. So we're going to find out more about your journey. So starting with the Yoga Journeys questions now.
Okay.
So honoring our ancestors, please share your family lineage.
So my mum is Colombian, my dad is Mexican. So I'm a mix of Central and South American heritage. That being said, that means I'm also a mix of Spanish, European, and indigenous cultures, heritage. There's a term that's used quite often in sort of Central South America, which is mestizo, which really just means mixed. It's a mix of
mestizo. Okay, I've never heard that expression. Okay.
Yeah. And it's usually to refer either a mix of, Spanish European and indigenous, or it can be Spanish and black, or indigenous and black, sort of that melting pot of those kind of three different lineages.
Yeah. Have you ever done your, what's it called, the DNA?
I haven't. No, I'd be really curious to do it. I've actually, in the last few years, I've really thought about seriously wanting to do it, because I'd love to know, what percentage.
The mix, yes, yeah.
I don't know if I have any black ancestry. I'm sure there might be somewhere along the line. Definitely indigenous from my dad's side. Just looking at, photographs of, grandparents, great grandparents.
Wow.
You can really
Okay.
see that come through.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know the full kind of mix that I am. Yeah.
Something else to discover.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. Okay, so where, when, and with whom was your first yoga class?
So my first yoga class would have been in my final year of university. So that was around 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been, I was at the University of Kent in Canterbury, and we had like an on-campus gym where
Mm-hmm.
they ran classes, and yoga being one of them. I don't even remember the teacher. I'm pretty sure it was female, but I
Okay.
really can't remember. There's not much that I actually remember from that very first class, other than the reason why I went was
Mm-hmm.
because I was doing my master's in drama and theatre studies.
Okay.
I was in my final year, and it was a really stressful time, like doing my dissertation and like all the work that I had to do, and I was really struggling with just kind of stress. And
Mm.
I'd heard about this thing called yoga that's it seemed very calming and peaceful and
Mm.
relaxing, and as well as sort of the physical aspect of maybe getting a bit more flexible. That's kind of my sort of understanding of what yoga was back then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, as I say, like I don't have very vivid memories of that first class, but I do remember coming away from it thinking, I definitely felt more relaxed.
Okay.
And
Good.
yeah, maybe that was Shavasana. I can't tell you what that was
Mm.
from the class, but I definitely came away thinking, oh, maybe there's something to this.
And you went back regularly each week?
I don't think I was. No, I didn't go back regularly, but I did go, like, when I could.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
after that time at university, when I graduated and I moved back home, one of the first things I did was join my local gym and go to those local yoga classes, and that's
Okay.
really where it kind of
Mm.
um, kicked off for me. Like at university, it was just sort of dipping my toe in, and then it was after I graduated and I was back home and I sort of had like a regular base that I really started to
Mm.
go to
Very-
yoga more consistently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when did you realize you wanted to teach yoga? And for you, because of the personal training, I'm interested which came first, the personal training and then the yoga teacher training. What was the order?
Okay, so I got to yoga like in a really long roundabout way in terms of my teaching, because
Okay.
I remember being at university and going to that yoga class, at the university gym, um, and kind of thinking, oh, I would love to be a yoga teacher. Like I had this image in my head of, being on some tropical island running retreats and just being, all blissed
Yeah.
out. And,
Mm,
I
mm.
had that sort of image in my head of what a yoga teacher was.
And then you woke up. Yeah,
Yeah. Later down the line, did
yeah.
I find out
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it was really about? But
yeah.
I always remember thinking, like it could be like a really good fallback job, because I did study drama, and I did, once I graduated, I wanted to get into the performing arts. I wanted to be an actress, and I was doing a lot of theatre.
Mm.
um, you know Obviously it doesn't pay very well, right? That's a very hard industry
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get
yeah.
into, and so
Tough
I always
gig.
had to think
Mm.
about a side job, like a side gig that I could do, that was one, flexible,
Mm-hmm.
that allowed me to go to auditions as and when, but that could at least bring a bit of income, and that wasn't going to steer me away from my passion, that was acting and performing. um,
Mm.
but at the time it was really a pipe dream, and I remember actually at university, when I had that initial thought, I did do a bit of research into, what does it take to become a yoga teacher? And I remember reading that, you have to at least have 2 years minimum consistent practice.
Yes.
And at that point, I'd only gone to a handful of classes. And I just thought, it's just a pipe dream. And I really set it aside and really didn't think about it at all for ages. Graduated, started doing a bit of temp work while I was trying to get into the acting, and eventually started teaching. I was teaching youth theatre, so with kids, drama clubs, and and working with kids is a handful.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. And I was working with a real wide range of like primary school to secondary school, like GCSE, A level.
Young adults.
Yes, young adults, which are their own. Yeah, both the younger ones and the older ones with different ways of or different types of challenging, I would say. And then and this is how I kind of got into the fitness part. So this is where sort of the PT comes into play. I was teaching a lot of youth theatre. I was getting really tired of working with kids.
Right.
And I was thinking, and I was still a member of my local gym, still going to yoga classes and doing other exercise classes. I was actually doing a Zumba class, and I just had a thought, was like, I could teach this. I mean,
okay.
Zumba is, it's I don't know if you know, but it was created by a Colombian guy, and he basically took a lot of Latin dances like salsa, merengue, bachata, cumbia, and just kind of created this thing called Zumba. And I was like, well, I grew up listening to all of that.
That's right. Yeah.
It's just innate in me. And so I was like, well, I could teach that. And like, I was already teaching. It's just now I'm teaching in a different, to a different group, right? To adults. So that's how I got into kind of the fitness and wellness industry. Was like, right, I want to get away from teaching children. I still want to have something like a side gig that's going to be flexible. And went and got my Zumba qualification, started teaching group classes. And the more I was teaching group classes, I started thinking, well, maybe I should become a personal trainer, because they seem to earn quite a bit, and I could learn a bit more about just being healthy for myself. Like, I just had a general interest for myself. And then got my personal training qualification. I then got a job working part-time in a gym. And it was when I got to the gym that my manager at the gym, she kind of gave me a really wonderful piece of advice. I'd done quite a bit of training. So I was teaching Zumba, I was teaching like legs, bums and tums, I was teaching spin, I was teaching like pump classes, and obviously I'd got the personal training under my belt. And I didn't really know what I was going to do with all of this. I just like, this was still in my head, like, oh, this is my side gig. And then she kind of said to me, well, you can be good at a lot of things, or you can be really great at something. And as soon as she said that, yoga came back to me and was like, well, yeah, like I really wanted to do that way back.
It's interesting. It's interesting with all of those different hats that you're wearing, all that different training. It was still the yoga that drew you back.
Yeah, I think I could see from teaching those group exercise classes, like there's an expiration date for that. Like, you can't really keep doing that forever. Your body can only take so much, because there's a lot of high impact, like jumping. So I think I was thinking of it in terms of like longevity, and I knew that yoga was something that I could teach well into my later years. And it was something that I was always really passionate about, and something I always enjoyed and really wanted to learn more about. So that's how I eventually came to yoga. And by that point, I had kind of put the acting on pause and realized that I wasn't missing it.
Okay, it's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that I actually didn't really miss it, and so I kind of just kept going forwards with the fitness and with the yoga, and that's kind of how I ended up where I am right now, because it really wasn't like a pre-planned career choice or anything like that. It sort of kind of stumbled into it, but I kind of found my way in the end.
Amazing. And I did not know. See, every day is a school day. I did not know that you taught Zumba. I
Yeah,
had no idea.
yeah,
Wow.
that's how I first started.
Yeah, I thought it was the PT world that was your start in fitness and then the yoga. But hey, every day is a school day.
Yeah.
So what year was that? So 2006 was the first yoga class. So the yoga teacher training, what year was that? The 200 or 250 hour?
The 200-hour was back in 2014. At this
2014.
point, I was already, doing all the exercise classes and PT. But yeah, so by the time I eventually found my yoga training, it was 2014.
2014. And then you did your advanced training. That's when we met, roughly.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my first initial training was with a company called Yoga Professionals, in association with YMCA Fit, who I had done all of my, fitness training.
Right. Okay.
And that was a great base, but it really was. I definitely felt like I needed more to really fully understand I think the complexity of yoga. It's not just a physical, practice.
Yeah.
It's so much
Yeah.
deeper than that.
Mm.
And you can learn to teach, or kind of to plan a class, right, to know the arc of a class and to structure a class, and all those, obviously learning the poses and the names and Sanskrit, but then it's the going deeper part.
Yes.
That really takes time and study and dedication, and so that's why then eventually a few years later, I decided to do an advanced teacher training, which was with Tri Yoga. Anna Ashby, our mutual teacher.
Our teacher, yes, indeed. Yeah.
Who was leading that alongside Jean Hall. And I completed that in 2018.
Okay. Yeah. So that was the second year of my TT where we started bumping into each other, I think, at Anna's classes. Yeah. Hey, and the rest is history.
And the rest is history, yeah.
Okay. So how long was the first teacher training? Like the foundation?
It was pretty quick. It was, I think, yeah, I'm just gonna be honest.
Okay.
And say
fast track.
Yeah, it was fast track. I think it was over 9 or 10 weekends.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it was a Friday to a Sunday.
Right. Okay.
And then obviously self-practice and all that other stuff. So yeah, and after we finished the training, then I think we were given maybe a month or 2 months before we actually did our exam, our final exam.
Okay. And can you recall how many people were on that training and how many people of colour were on the training? If you remember both, actually, out of interest.
Yeah, I think there were about 30 of us. It was,
good number, yeah? Good size. Yeah.
Reasonable size group, and a handful of, people of colour. There was myself, an Asian guy who I actually am still really close friends with.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah, and one mixed race girl, and I think that was it.
Okay.
Out of 30.
And was your ATT a smaller number?
ATT, yeah, was a little bit smaller. I think it was about 26.
Okay, not much smaller.
Not much difference, but yeah. And for the ATT, that was a little bit more diverse. There were definitely a lot of Latinas in the group. Gabriella, who.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
And I'm trying to think back. Yeah, maybe like 4, 5.
5. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, with people of color.
Well, so it's good to know that
Mhm.
that mix. It's been
Yeah.
broadly similar from the conversations I've had with everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, highs and lows of the wellness industry. And I like to start with any lows, if you have any, and then if you have any, the highs. So when you think of the wellness industry, what are your highs and lows?
So I actually was thinking about this because
Hmm.
I mean I've been in the wellness industry for going on 8 years, I think.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and it's been, yeah, a real up and down journey. And I think the one thing which I know has been echoed on this, platform with your other interviewees is representation,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and I mean that in all aspects, in the marketing, in what you see, in terms of just my even initial idea of yoga. Um, Knowing that it's from India and yet not even really seeing that many people of Asian descent like
That's right.
being
Yeah.
represented
Yeah.
in marketing or in I don't know, athleisure wear or in even in yoga studio
Hmm.
posters or
Yeah.
even social media.
Yeah.
Is this sort of the first image that comes to mind is this kind of unfortunately kind of stereotypical young skinny white female on the
Uh,
beach
I'm not
doing
laughing because it's
some,
funny, but it's yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah,
That
and so
stereotype, yeah.
it is.
Mm,
So yeah, I think representation is a real big one for me, and not just, yeah, it's not just the marketing. Obviously, that plays a huge um, part, right? Because then when you go into a yoga studio, who do you see? Who are the bodies that are on the mats?
yeah,
Who are the
yeah,
people that are coming to class, and
yeah,
who are the people that are teaching the class,
yeah.
and who are the people that are teaching the teachers, right? The teacher trainings, because I haven't come across many, you know, teacher trainees of color. I just haven't, from all the workshops and trainings and things that I've done, like people that are at the top, I have not seen that many. Um,
Radical Darshan is about to
yes,
lead the way with
which is
that,
really
which is
exciting,
great news.
which
Really
is
great news.
amazing. The 4 women of color leading their own teacher training,
Yeah,
um, which about time, right? It's like
yeah.
is
Starts in June, I think, right? I think it's June it
that
starts.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's June. Yeah,
Yeah.
300 hour. Google it, Radical
Yeah.
Darshan.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so yeah. So that representation, the
Hmm.
lows, which I think with the whole Black Lives Matter movement and everything that happened last year, with George Floyd, rest in peace. I think it really did highlight the disparity, um,
Yeah,
of lack of representation. So things are changing, and it's not going to happen overnight, right? It's going to take time.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. It will take time, and I think when I was sitting in the seat, it was about sustained
yeah.
change. That's the kind of thing we would love to see. But yeah, so those were your lows. Thank you for sharing the lows. Do you have any highs of the wellness industry?
Yeah. Really, it's been the people that I've met along the way,
Yeah,
including yourself, including, I think, the other part of it that I was going to say as a low is that it's a very lonely job, right?
yes,
You
yes,
don't
yes,
really
yeah, yeah.
interact with many other yoga teachers. And so, like before I did my advanced teacher training, when I did my initial 200 hour, I was just kind of like, okay, there's your training done. It was, it did it was very short, right? It wasn't like over a long period of time that I did my training. And then it's like, okay, now you're out, go teach. And I didn't really have any peer support. You know, I kept in touch with one person from my original 200-hour training. And so I think along the way, over the years, having done my advanced teacher training, having, you know, bumped into you, having, you know, connected with other yoga teachers of color, our wonderful group, collective of women of color. You know, we have Tawny here, who's so lovely to be with us, you know, in this interview, just observing. And so I think it's been the people that I've met along the way, and the connections that I've made, and you know, it's been that journey of kind of finding my people, right? People that you connect with, that you can kind of speak the same language, right? Of your passion of yoga, of you know, being able to have an understanding and also get support. I think is so key. That you just don't feel that you're on your own. That, you know, maybe someone else has been through that, or you know, you can bounce ideas off of someone, or you know, just having that peer support, I think has been such a blessing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. So what got you through the lockdowns? You know, since I started this, it's been like 3 now. So what got you through each of them, and were they different for you in any way?
Yeah, I think each lockdown had its own feel. I mean, the very first one was kind of like, okay, what's happening? Everything's stopping. I have no idea what's going on. And the fear that came with, you know, everything shutting down, and just the financial impacts of that, of being able to teach yoga and having to figure out what Zoom was and if I was prepared to go on to Zoom. Although I have to say that initial lockdown was really nice. The silver lining of that was having that quality time with my partner, because you know, we had both up until that point been working a lot and hardly really seeing each other. So that was really precious time together. The second lockdown, which was November of last year, was like, here we go again. But then it was like, well, it's only going to be for a month. And I was like, okay, it's only a month. It's only a month. and then we had like 2 weeks where we were open, and then lockdown again. And this third lockdown, I think, has been the hardest, just mentally. I think we're all tired, right? It's been a long, hard, bumpy journey. And just being indoors all the time, being, you know, not being able to see friends, to see family, that kind of human connection has been really tough. Because it's been such a long time, this third lockdown. I mean, I really combine the second and third one together, because but the things that have gotten me through have really been therapy, which I've been doing, you know, before even we went into all of this lockdown. It's just something that I've been doing to work on myself, and has been such a godsend during this whole time. Making dates to video chat with friends like yourself and our mutual friends here,
every fortnight.
Having that, you know, that touch base with people has been so valuable. And my meditation,
I hear you.
To just ground me, because it's been it's been really bumpy, and there's many times where I felt really ungrounded and really like, I don't know what the future holds. Like, you know, the impermanence of it all, right? This will pass, but you know, what else is coming?
And you would have had 2 birthdays. Well, a second birthday in lockdown.
Yes, yeah. And so my meditation practice has been a thing that really helps to ground me. And just really actually taking this whole year has taught me the importance of self-care.
Yes. Yeah,
Self-care for
absolutely.
self-preservation,
Yeah.
because there have been many times where I've felt really shaken by this whole
Mm, mm,
experience. And just learning that it's okay, I don't have to do it all, right? That these are very strange circumstances and it's
absolutely.
okay to do less.
Yeah.
Really hard for someone that is like such a people pleaser and like really, really difficult to say no to things.
Mm.
And that's been, doing restorative yoga. Oh my gosh, that also as well.
Hey,
Just
it's a savior.
to
Yeah.
ground myself, right?
Mm.
To replenish my nervous system,
Yes.
and yeah, just to take that time out to pause, along with my meditation. Those are the 2 things that really have,
Yeah.
helped keep me going.
Yeah, no, I hear you loud and clear. And I want to personally thank you for something you said right at the first lockdown that's helped me a lot, where you said you valued speaking to somebody every day. It really helped you, not just keep text,
Yeah.
to actually speak. And once I started doing that, I was like, wow, yeah, this is better than the constant texting, because messages were going crazy. So thank you for that. It was a real help. And our fortnightly chats.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where you get to promote yourself left, right, and center. What is coming up for you in 2021? Workshops, any retreats planned? Just what's going on? Where can we find you? You can plug away now.
Okay. So at the moment, I'm currently in the process of doing a mindfulness teacher training. So I'm training in
Yay!
mindfulness-based stress reduction, which is, if anybody knows of mindfulness, this is John Kabat-Zinn's, mindfulness program that he really created back in America. And so I'm training in that. So that's going to be a year-long journey. So I'll be qualified by March of next year.
Amazing. Well done, you.
Yeah, so that's great. And I during that time, even while I'm training, I can still, I'm still hoping to implement that into some of the teaching that I do. So running workshops. I do run a monthly or I've started a monthly series of workshops called Self-Care Sundays. Part of that, kind of realizing that self-care is so important.
Yes, indeed. It's beautiful. Book it, people, book it. I've been. It's amazing. So yeah.
So the next one is on the Sunday, the 25th of April, and that's going to be actually an introduction to mindfulness.
Okay.
And that will be on Zoom online, so it's all online. Waiting for to be able to get back into the studio, back to teaching people
in person.
in real life.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of thinking of other things. I'm really just waiting to see how this year goes and what might arise from it. I've got my regular classes that I'm doing still online. Looking forward to getting back to in person, and just wanting to keep working, to keep teaching, and
sharing the goodness.
Yes, exactly.
And what's your website and social media handles so people can know where to find you?
Yep, so my website is tawnycortesyoga.com, and then my Instagram is tawny_yoga.
Wonderful.
People can find me there.
can find you there, definitely. Well, thank you so much. Before we open the floor to see if Miss Twana has any questions, is there anything you want to circle back to, anything you've forgotten, anything you want to add before we see if there are any questions?
Yeah, just to say thank you again. That's been such a, it's been so nice. We've known each other, gosh, how long now?
Coming up 3 years, I think.
3 years, yeah.
Yeah. If we said 2018, you did your ATT, that's when I started seeing you.
That's right.
And yeah, it was a year into my first training. So yeah, it's coming up 3 years. It'd be probably later on in the year.
Yeah,
So,
I just want to, take a moment to personally thank you for this friendship that we've built over the years.
oh, that's very sweet.
And what what a blessing it's really been to have that support and to see you flourish as well, to watch you on your yoga journey from doing your teacher training to now being qualified and teaching yoga full time. It's been so lovely to
and thank you for always being in my corner, for being such a strong cheerleader, and getting me on cover lists and stuff. So this is how I think my journey has been able to progress. So with established people like yourself, trying to definitely sending the elevator back down, as they say in the US, which you don't have to do. And I think it's really nice that you choose to, support in that way. So thank you, mutual thanks. And if you're watching this on Catch Up and you do have a question for Tawny, do type it in the comments box, because a message will come through to us and we'll get you the answer.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, indeed. So Twana, you can come off mute if you have a question, or you can type it in the chat box.
There's no pressure. Don't feel like you need to ask a question.
No pressure, Twana, if you don't want to ask a question. She might not be there now, she might have gone.
I am here, and I was just contemplating, thinking, oh, do I want to just dump a question on Tawny without anything scripted, not to just throw something at you. But there is a question that I actually have, particularly considering that this is about the yoga journey. And so many people go on yoga journeys that ebb and flow mean different things to different people. I guess my question to you as a yoga teacher would be, what would your advice be, or what would you say to somebody who has been on a long yoga journey, but maybe are having a hiatus or have lost their motivation, not least because of what this last year has presented to us. And one might assume that because we've had the kind of year that we've had, and yoga's been online, and everything is about accessibility now, because you can find it, there's so much of it. But for those people who maybe have actually found themselves a bit lost with their yoga, what advice would you give to help somebody reignite or to start over again where they are?
Yeah, it's a really good question, actually. I'm quite happy to admit that I don't get on my yoga mat every day. It's not, yoga doesn't have to be just on the mat, and that's taken me a really long time to learn, because I used to have a lot of guilt around, I must be practicing an hour each day, or it needs to look a certain way, and this is what a really dedicated and committed yoga practice looks like. And it's taken me a long time to unlearn that, and to really learn that my yoga can be many different things. Like I talk about my meditation, I will sit and meditate, and it's been something that has ebbed and flowed as well. I will admit, like, there have been months where I'll sit every day, and then I might miss a few days, and then a few days might turn into a week, and then I'm like, okay, I need to get back on it. And it's sort of it's making that commitment to still keep it in your life in whatever shape or form, not beating yourself up over the fact that you haven't done something today, and also knowing that yoga takes many different forms, right? Even study, even if it's just you know, you have an interest in learning more about the philosophy, that can be your yoga practice. It doesn't have to be the physical part of the practice. Really, that's just one small layer. So I think, you know, for those who, especially because it's been such a tough year, I mean, I think really learning that it doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to last for a specific amount of time. You know, that was my thinking of an hour, you know, every day. It doesn't need to be so prescriptive. It's fluid, and just like life is fluid, and that there are going to be highs and lows, and that doesn't mean that it's not important to you anymore. It just means that, you know, when the time is right, when you feel that urge to come back to it, it will call, you know, it will speak to you. And I think trusting in that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other questions, Tawny?
No, I can say it's been lovely listening to the two of you, and I'm so glad that I was able to be here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. So it's time to say goodbye. It's been an absolute pleasure hearing your journey, learning even more about you. And yeah, look forward to our continued chat. I think we're due for Friday. So that's great. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for everybody who's tuning in and watching online, because I know that even though you might only see one person on the recording, the views are really quite high on the More Yoga YouTube site. So thank you so much for joining in. On the 19th of April, our next yogi of color, the journey is with Dill. I didn't find out the pronunciation of her last name, so I'm not going to carve it up and get it wrong. I wait for Dill to tell me correctly on the day. A wonderful yogi that I look forward to hearing her journey on the 19th of April. So please tune in and join us then. Meanwhile, thank you once again to the lovely Tawny Cortes for sharing your journey. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, everyone. Take care. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much.
Take care.